Hezbollah strikes a nerve in Israel by showcasing images of fallen troops in a provocative new message. If you're going to withdraw anyway, Hezbollah uses psychological warfare to target Israeli morale. Hezbollah's video featuring IDF losses reignites debate over the cost of the Lebanon campaign. All fronts peace deal faces first serious challenge as tensions rapidly flare on the Lebanon border. Less than 24 hours after the truce, fresh Israeli strikes raise fears of a renewed escalation cycle. Hezbollah released a new video featuring photographs of Israeli soldiers killed during recent fighting in southern Lebanon, according to RT. The video carried the message, "If you're going to withdraw anyway, why be the last to die?" in an apparent psychological warfare campaign. The footage was published hours after deadly clashes reportedly inflicted fresh losses on Israeli forces operating in southern Lebanon. Its timing drew significant attention as Israeli media reportedly described the day's battlefield developments as a disaster. Four IDF soldiers were reportedly killed after Hezbollah targeted an Israeli tank operating inside Lebanon on June 19. Among those killed was the commander of the 52nd Battalion, who had reportedly assumed command only days earlier. Hours after the tank strike, additional Israeli casualties were reportedly recorded during continued fighting in the same area. 5 more Israeli troops were reportedly wounded in a separate Hezbollah drone attack, according to media reports. The losses came as Netanyahu's cabinet continued rejecting calls to withdraw from Lebanon despite the reported Iran peace deal. The high-stakes U.S Iran memorandum reportedly called for an immediate end to hostilities across the Lebanese front. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly still working to influence the contours of the final U.S.-Iran agreement, determined to shape its outcome even as the framework moves forward. His efforts have continued despite President Donald Trump already signing a memorandum of understanding with Tehran, signaling that the Israeli leader does not view the interim document as the final word on Iran policy. Under the terms of the memorandum, the agreement has triggered a 60-day negotiation window between Washington and Tehran, during which both sides are expected to hammer out a comprehensive final pact. Netanyahu is said to believe that Iran will ultimately refuse to accept meaningful, enforceable limits on its nuclear program, a conviction that fuels his skepticism and his determination to press for tougher conditions. According to coverage by CNN, the Israeli leader is actively trying to shape the debate inside Washington, D.C. over the emerging deal, seeking to influence how American policymakers and the public perceive its risks and benefits. Reports say the Prime Minister is working through conservative media figures and pro-Israel lawmakers in Congress, leveraging long-standing relationships to amplify criticism and raise doubts about the agreement's terms. Prominent pro-Israel podcaster Mark Levin has denounced the deal as a slush fund for reconstruction, arguing that the financial components risk empowering Tehran rather than constraining it. Netanyahu is also expected to lobby friendly senators directly to voice concerns and push for stricter oversight, using Capitol Hill as an additional line of pressure on the Trump administration as negotiations with Iran continue. Republicans angrily condemned President Trump's interim deal with Iran as a mistake, arguing that the pact contains concessions that could embolden Tehran and that the administration moved too quickly without securing ironclad guarantees or congressional oversight. The administration hailed the 14-point Memorandum of Understanding as a major win, intended to end the 10-day conflict, presenting the agreement as a diplomatic breakthrough that prioritizes de-escalation and the rapid return of stability to a volatile region. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy said, quote, "Reagan is rolling over in his grave. Iran's nuclear ambitions were not curbed, and they have learned that threatening the Strait of Hormuz works and will undoubtedly leverage it in the future. Now, Iran gets to build brand new infrastructure under this deal. Before the war, the strait was open, Iran was being crushed by sanctions, and 13 service members were still alive. Now, 13 Americans are dead, families have paid billions at the pump, sanctions will be lifted, and the bombing has stopped. This is the worst foreign policy blunder in decades," unquote. Trump administration officials emphasized the downblending of enriched uranium as an important safeguard, claiming that converting higher enriched material into forms less suitable for weapons reduces immediate proliferation risks and serves as a verifiable confidence-building measure. But critics counter that Trump's Iran deal accomplished less than the 2015 nuclear agreement negotiated under President Obama, saying the interim pact lacks the long-term, legally binding restrictions and intrusive verification mechanisms that defined the earlier accord. Another prominent Republican, Senator Ted Cruz, described elements of the pact as ill-advised and urged that further details be disclosed and scrutinized, warning that without greater transparency and stronger enforcement measures, the agreement could prove dangerous rather than stabilizing. Republican Senator Ted Cruz said, and I quote, "What has been released so far suggests that, unfortunately, the president is getting, I think, very poor advice when it comes to this deal. History teaches that giving billions of dollars to theocratic lunatics who want to murder us is a bad idea," unquote. Although some Republicans who previously backed military strikes on Iran are now shifting to support the peace framework, their changed stance reflects a calculation that a structured agreement could better protect U.S. interests than an open-ended conflict. Several prominent GOP figures, including Lindsey Graham, have indicated that the deal could be beneficial, suggesting that if the framework is properly enforced and tightened, it may offer a realistic path to de-escalation and regional stability. A major point of contention in the agreement remains the section dealing with Lebanon, where unresolved issues about Hezbollah and cross-border attacks have made this track particularly sensitive for both Washington and Jerusalem. The Memorandum of Understanding calls for an immediate and permanent ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon, setting an ambitious goal to halt hostilities across multiple theaters at once. However, the agreement does not spell out how such a ceasefire would be enforced or how armed proxies would be disarmed, restrained, or deterred, leaving key enforcement mechanisms vague and open to dispute. Netanyahu has reportedly told Trump that Israel does not consider itself bound by these terms, insisting that Jerusalem retains full freedom of action against threats on its northern front regardless of what Washington and Tehran sign. The Israeli Prime Minister has also declared that security zones in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria will be maintained, signaling that Israel intends to preserve forward defensive positions and deterrent postures despite the new framework. Defense Minister Katz has reinforced this line by saying Israeli forces will remain in these security zones for unlimited time, underscoring Israel's readiness to sustain an extended deployment if leaders deem it necessary for national security.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.